Okay.
But the circumstances are different for every single truth seeker or truth lover. And what happened in this case cannot be transposed to any other case. So that's why I'm a little careful not to give this impression that it has to happen in the same way or according to the same pattern. You know, the varieties of expression of the divine are infinite. And she always surprises us. So that which can be predicted is the unpredictability of it, the unpredictability of grace. And that's part of the charm of grace, that it cannot be predicted, that it surprises us.
Well, one of the things that I found particularly interesting, because you do in one of your books, you do briefly describe, won't call it a process, but a series of events that happened and how it affected you. And it interested me because my situation has been opposite, if you like, in terms of my journey. And you were saying that pretty much you had the interest with Krishnamurti, it sparked something, it resonated with you. And then you studied a lot in terms of reading Krishnamurti and other people. Then I think you found Jean Klein as a teacher. And it's as if you learnt a lot of things, and then sometime later a realization happened that was very significant. Now with me, what's happened is that it's almost the other way around. I've had experiences which have been hard for me to understand with my mind and hard in other ways as well. And that's been the trigger for me to find out more. And it sounds like you were almost preparing for something you thought might happen, whereas I'm kind of almost like catching up with things that have happened. And it's taken me a long time to really integrate experiences and see what that means for me as a human being living my life.
So you are just bringing some supporting evidence to what I said, that her ways are infinite.
I'm also trying to bring you out to talk a little bit more about this subject because it interests me.
About what subject? The diversity of ways?
Well, it's. I think I try and make the interviews practical in one way, so that people who watch them aren't necessarily scholars of non-duality or whatever, but people who have had or are having experiences in their life, to try and give them a bridge, a window into a wider world, if you like. Because a lot of people are very I know when things happened to me, I felt very isolated, very alone with things I didn't understand. So, and you have a certain clarity which certainly comes across in your books and in your talk last night or your session last night, and that's what I'm trying to encourage you to do.
Yes, if you want to be practical, let's try to be absolutely practical. Let's assume you are told you have been somehow served the wrong type of mushroom and you only have 2 hours to live.
I know this one. I know someone that this happened to. Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
What is the questions that you would ask? What would be the most important question? Because then, in this circumstance, my guess is that it would be the most practical question, right? So, what is your most important question? What is the question that would be yours?
So, if I had 2 hours to live, and I knew that was a finite time pretty much, mushrooms is not a good example because I know it affects your reality a lot.
Not right away. You have 2 hours of...
Before it really kicks in. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, only 50 minutes.
50 minutes. These are super fast mushrooms. Okay. Well, it's interesting because what comes up to start with is very practical things about tidying up certain affairs and wanting to make things clear on a human level for me. That comes up as very important. And why is that important? That's important because I value my relationships with other human beings. And I want things to be in good order, much as they can be.
Because of love.
Love is certainly a big part of that.
Love
Caring for people.
Love is that which is important.
Yeah. And then there's the thing that's always... I'm just thinking of somebody who was... he wasn't a good friend, but he was certainly a friend, and he lived in a kind of awakened state. He had a meeting with somebody, and something triggered something that was very dramatic in him. And then he died a very painful death of cancer in a hospital. And he died in the end in a hospice, which is where people go to die in England. And at that time I didn't visit him because I wasn't such close touch with him. But people that visited him said that he had pain, but he was also so excited, and he was saying to the other people, "Isn't this exciting? We're going to die. I wonder what happens." And I think that would be a strong thing in me. I wonder what is going to happen. And by that I mean, I wonder what, in your terms, consciousness really is, what truth really is. Because at that point, that's all I have. I'm not so sure about past lives and all the rest of it. I'm really not clear on that one. But I think that would be my question. What's going to happen now?
But, I mean, you will know in now 45 minutes.
Well, maybe you've given me something I don't know about.
The point I was making is that which we usually call practicalities. What we mean by that is usually, money, relationships, cars, houses, retirement, and a few other things. Health. But when things really become really when circumstances become forceful, it turns out that these things are not important. As you said, love is important. Truth. In these 45 minutes, what can I do?
What would you do?
Wait peacefully.
That's a wonderful thought, that you can wait peacefully, because I think there's very few people on the planet that can say that.
That which is never goes out of existence, and that which is not never comes into existence. That's a verse of the Bhagavad Gita. And Parmenides, the Greek sage, said almost the same thing, word for word.
So there's a big question comes up. How, as a human race, have we got so far away from that?
Is that important?